Let's get to this from the Pentagon now. All systems go. Moments ago, we mentioned delivering an update on Operation Epic Fury. CENTCOM releasing new video of U.S. forces in action, taking out Iranian naval targets that threaten international shipping in and near the Strait of Hormuz. The scope and success of the fight against the Iranian government on full display. Screen right.
And the devastating hits against the terror regime's ability to spread its radical agenda in the Middle East, highlighting the firepower of the U.S. military. So the top brass saying that today's strikes will go to a new level and that they have the tools to get the job done.
Today will be the largest strike package yet, just like yesterday was. As I've said from day one, our capabilities continue to build, Iran's continue to degrade.
U.S. CENTCOM remains on plan to achieve our military objectives and remain unrelenting in our pursuit of Iranian missile capabilities, UAV capabilities, and their Navy, and as the Secretary said, their industrial base. Each day we continue to attack deeper into Iranian territory.
This is a clear set of objectives. The president has given us every capability we need to accomplish that. We've got the best in the world in uniform executing it on the ground. They believe in and are invested in this mission, and it will be at the president's choosing, ultimately, where we say, hey, we've achieved what we need to on behalf of the American people to ensure our security. So no time set on that, but we're very much on track.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so some of the headlines right there. 11 submarines are gone as well. Lucas Tomlinson picks up the coverage. He is live in the Persian Gulf today. Lucas.
Bill, Secretary Hegseth says the U.S. is winning this war decisively, and General Kane says U.S. strike missions are now flying deeper and penetrating Iranian airspace further to the east. He also says A-10s and Apache helicopter gunships are now on station flying missions in Iran's southern flank. This all comes after Iran followed through on its threat to launch strike missions on energy facilities across the Persian Gulf after Israel launched strikes on the world's largest gas field. Iran also hit a Saudi refinery on the Red Sea, demonstrating it still has some reach. General Kane admitted there's work left to be done to destroy Iranian forces.
They came into this fight with a lot of weapons. This is why we continue to be as aggressive and assertive as we can against their ballistic missile capability, both their medium-range ballistic range missile capabilities. So we are continuing to hunt and find them and kill them.
Early this morning, Israeli jets hit Iran's South Pars gas field located in the Persian Gulf, a field shared with Qatar. It's the largest in the world and supplies a major portion of Iran's domestic gas. The vast majority of Qatar's gas ships to Asia, with China and India the principal buyers. It's worth noting, Bill, Iran was hitting oil and gas facilities like this across the Persian Gulf even before these Israeli strikes. And in Saudi Arabia, Iran firing ballistic missiles at Riyadh while diplomats from neighboring Gulf countries and across the Middle East were meeting. And Emirati air defenses have been active today, shooting down 7 Iranian ballistic missiles and 15 drones as Iran continues to attack energy infrastructure in this country.
All right, Bill? Lucas, thanks. Leading our coverage there in Dubai. Thank you, sir. Mike Sarraille comes in for analysis. Chief Talent Officer of Overwatch Mission Critical and a retired U.S. Navy SEAL. And good day to you, sir. Thanks for being here, Mike.
Thanks, Bill.
What did you hear in the Pentagon briefing?
That the war is on track. You know, they are decimating the Iranian regime's war-making capability. Now, the essential thing here is that we put the nail in the coffin. Give the military time. Let's be persistent. Let's have resolve to continue degrading their military capability, as well as removing as many of the regime leaders as we can.
Mike, Tulsi Gabbard just testified in front of Congress that the regime is largely intact. So what needs to happen there?
Intact, but tattered. Arguably, there is very little organizational coherence to the regime right now. So again, with military operations, we know this. It's a theory of systematic attrition. Not only their military infrastructure, but also their regime leadership. And beyond the regime leadership, it's also looking at the internal security apparatus, the Baghis, which we eliminated the Baghis commander just a few days ago. If we can erode at that internal, security apparatus and really uplift the Iranian people, their ability to oppose the regime, that may result in a different picture.
How about the tit for tat we've seen in the last 24 hours? Tit for tat is a nice phrase, right? A little too kind. They're going after each other's energy supplies. natural gas and oil. What do you make of that escalation now, Mike?
Yeah, it's a great question, Bill. So, Iran's only playbook is to go after soft targets to hold the global energy market hostage. I assure you that is not momentum. They cannot go toe-to-toe, state-to-state, or conventional military on conventional military. So that is actual leverage for us. I would think President Trump is holding off on striking their oil infrastructure with the intent of passing that off to the Iranian people if they do take over the regime. But this is the point of the war. We can no longer allow Iran to cause instability and to hold the global markets hostage. And that is the next phase of this operation, is eliminating their capabilities to hold those markets hostage.
So we are about to enter, the fourth week, okay? And to me, obviously, you can see the military doing everything that it needs to do. But there is an interesting piece of the diplomacy that has to either kind of go along with it and get in sync with this. But because of what you just said, that the regime is in tatters, it's very hard to do diplomacy if there's no one to talk to.
And that's the question. Who's truly in charge in Iran? And guys, there's going to be a lot of backdoor political conversations going on with those who are in power with Iran. But the Gulf states are going to weigh in heavily here. One, for the first time, they're unified. They're unified alongside Israel, which could lead to an Abraham's Accord 2.0, which looks like a very different Middle East. But those backdoor negotiations will probably continue until we identify who the right leader is, who has control, and who has the ability to make decisions on behalf of the Iranian regime.
So, Mike, how do you gauge the public's reaction thus far? This is a war largely fought with satellites yet again. But we have seen the movement on behalf of the Pentagon to move the Marines in. That's still about a week away. And there's more reporting suggesting that more personnel may be sent to the region, which gives the idea that a new phase may begin very soon. As you analyze that militarily, what would that new phase look like?
Well, I would assure the public Trump is not going to put mass troops on the ground. What he is probably exercising is the possibility or the option to utilize the U.S. Marine Corps to seize Karg Island or the South Power fields. Now, here's the thing. For the American public, I think the media has gotten this wrong. Iran is not winning. We are. And that's the key difference here, is the media has to be responsible in this coverage, and it's almost grading the war hour by hour. Guys, we've degraded close to 90% of their military infrastructure. We have to, and I'm going to rob the 1939 British propaganda, stay calm and carry on, because we have the possibility, the generational possibility of removing a threat that has held us hostage since for 47 years.
Mike, thank you so much for being with us as we kick off America's Newsroom today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Dan.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.